Howdy. Hi, guys. I'm Slavomir, and just to get a sense of the audience in this room, how many of you go often to these events? Give me a show of hands. Okay. And how many of you are tired of these great exit stories where everything goes right? Fortunately, this is not one of them. So let me tell you a story about myself and how I went from zero to an exit in 3 years. My background is in translations. I never studied business. My family is not entrepreneurial, but I also don't come from a farm, so the cowboy outfit is another reason. In the last 10 years, I founded and exited a company with 200 customers. After that, I managed 14 million in venture capital, working closely with founders to build companies. Raised over 3.5 million myself, and these days I coach every year 50 CEOs at Shark Tank in Slovakia. So, how did it all come to be? When I finished university, I really wanted to work in corporate. It was kind of my dream. I know it sounds weird looking back 15 years, but I was like, I like the guys in the suit. Seems fancy, they seem smart. So I went to work for a big corporate company. I was managing millions in translations, life was good, everything was going perfect. Until one day when I woke up and I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk, and I was like, what the hell? And then I started asking myself, okay, so if I die tomorrow, is this my life? Going every day to the office, doing the same things? And I started thinking about my life. So I decided to quit my job. I had no clue what I'm going to do next, but I knew what I didn't want to do. So I was like, okay, I'm a studied translator. I manage millions in translations. So obviously I know everything about translations. Who is better than me to build $1 billion company in translations, right? At least this is what went in my head back then. So I went out, talked to a couple of investors. Nobody wanted to give me any money, but there was one guy, and we were kind of in talks. It was an accelerator. It was like, okay, seems okay. Maybe you have the background. So let's talk. I was like, okay, you know what? I will jump on a train, come to Budapest, meet you, and let's talk shop. We met in Budapest, we signed a check, and this is where it all started. If I wouldn't have jumped on the train probably back then, I wouldn't have got the first investment. And, as a startup, you want to partner up with the big guys. And back then, I had nothing. I had no translators, no business partners. So I went to the biggest translations agency in the region, and I said, howdy, of course. They had over 2,000 translators, double our prices, and zero reason to work with us, honestly, because we were a startup. And so we walked straight up and asked them to partner with us. What do you think they said? That's cute, guys, but this is never gonna work. Come back when you have something and maybe we'll discuss. Oh well. So we went out, started targeting customers, and Faris already had this speech before, so I'm gonna keep it short. But back then, I like to compare sales to dating. And if you look at the email says like, hi, this is what I'm doing, this is what you should buy from me. So it's like in dating, it's like me, listen to me. I didn't care what the customer wanted. I was just like, I have the best idea, I have the best product, why don't you buy? And well, looking back now, I understand, and I don't know about you, but sometimes I still get these messages on conferences, and in the age of AI, I think there is a better way. But looking at the results, nobody wrote back to me, and usually if they wrote back, it was not the nicest message in the world. So doing a lot of emails, after a while, the bank account from the investment was going to zero, and probably most founders would have called it quits at this point. Well, I was like, okay, so well, this is my corporate bank account. My private bank account looked more like this. And it's like, well, and I have payroll in 2 weeks. So what do I do? And back at the time, we had one interesting customer, and they actually loved the translations. They paid immediately, which if you come from Eastern Europe, it's not regular. And they paid the whole sum, didn't ask for a discount. So I called them up like, hey, You love the translations. Just wanted to know why us. And the customer was in the dating business. And the guy was like, well, you're the only guys who take us seriously. I was like, okay, why? It's dating. It's cool. And I'm like, okay, do you have friends? It's like, yeah, there is a conference in Prague. You should go. There's a lot of people who need this. Well, it was great. So took basically bought a ticket, went to Prague, and this is where everything started changing. Back then, I didn't. It was just a hunch. We went to an affiliate conference in Prague. Well, they called it affiliate conference. It was about something else, and we didn't know yet. But when we entered, we started realizing it's not about the classic affiliate, but it was in the adult industry. We were like, okay, well, but these guys pay. So we started talking to them and realized there was no competition in this space. Like everybody was talking about traffic, banking, and nobody talked about translation. So we gave it a try. And first day, 400 business cards went away. And back then I was realizing, okay, I don't know if any of you who went already through the startup phase had the feeling like, I know I'm onto something. I'm not sure what it is, but I know something is there. And you know, there is this famous saying like, you cannot connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect them looking back. So the next day we created a different site, started talking to a lot of customers, and we started to understand the business a bit better. So that was after hundreds of talks of customers and iterations. And there was one client that I know if you are going to the adult industry, I need to have. Some people might be familiar with it, some not. I let you guys judge. But what we understood, there was an aha moment for us at one point. We did translations for one customer, and they came back to me like, Slav, we really love you, and you do usually a great job, but you made a shitty translation. I was like, that's impossible. I mean, like, I have 10 years experience in this industry, no way. It's like, you know, you made a shitty translation, but it actually converted higher. I was like, okay, this is interesting, like, tell me more. So we did a shitty translation, and more people clicked on it. I was like, yeah. It's like, do you know why? It's like Slav. You know, if you are searching on the web with one hand, you usually mistype stuff. It's like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And we're like, okay, so what if we try this with different customers? So we didn't talk to them about translations anymore. We were like, guys, so we don't provide the best translations, but we provide translations that convert higher. So we understood how to speak the language of the customer, where our competitors then went like, we have the best translators. We were like, well, we know what people click on and we can help with the conversions. So with this email in the second batch, the reply rates were 35%. So for those of you who worked in sales, getting 35% reply on a cold email, you know, that's like magic. Why this strategy worked? It's because we went too deep to understand the customer. Instead of going broad, which I started at the beginning, a translation company, everybody needs translations. But I never understood the clients. With this, obviously, the repetitive content, we knew we can automate. So our margins went on from 30% to 80 to 90%. Zero serious competition because everybody just came to one conference and left, either because the networking was something they were not used to, or because they didn't like the content. And also we worked with technology integration, and in this industry, everything works through relations. So if you already do a good job for 2-3 guys, then it snowballs. And this was visible from the numbers. The first year we started, we have 5 clients. In the next year, 21. And 2 years later, we skyrocketed to 200 clients. So that's a 10x growth. And back then, TechCrunch came calling. And they were like, okay, so we noticed what you are doing. This is interesting. But, you know, the reason why not many people do these TED Talks is they don't want to admit what they did. Well, we were not one of them. And actually, the worst advice I got when I started this business, never talk about this. I made most friends because I talked about this. And they wrote an article about us, which actually you would expect Like if you get featured in TechCrunch, investors come calling, customers come calling. None of that happened. I'm sorry. But it's a great article. So you wondered how I sold the company. It wasn't one of these stories where the competitors came to us. It was partially because the company was going well, it was growing, but you know, how would I say this? Marriage issues in the company. And I remembered like there was these competitors who laughed me out, but in the end they were business guys. So I went back and I told them, guys, well, you know, remember us 3 years ago, we had nothing. Now we have almost 300 customers in this niche. They started laughing again, but for a different reason. And I was told after the acquisition, the mood in the office improved. I have no clue why. So yeah, basically this was now after 10 years of my experience in the startup industry, this was one of the fastest acquisitions. We signed the contract in 2 weeks with all due diligence. So that was quite fast. And 5 things that I learned this. And obviously, some of you are in a more advanced and a more earlier stage. At the beginning is the hardest. So for me, being laughed at is market research. I don't dismiss it, I take it seriously. For me, always desperation beats strategy. Now I would say, and I tell this to many of my friends when I'm building a new company, that I'm too comfortable. When I had no choice, I had no choice and I needed to get it done. When you are more comfortable, you always postpone things, think about them more. So it's not ideal. I love founders who are with their backs against the wall. Niche down. I actually had a meeting today with a founder who had, you know, so many opportunities to go to sell to companies, and I told him like, okay, have you actually thought about talking to one category for 2 months and then figuring out if this works and then changing another? Because if you can do everything, then you won't do anything. And for me, one of the most important, I'm quite old school. For me, the customer is everything. I know it's a cliche that you heard 1,000 times, but when I had a satisfied customers, they always came back and they came back with friends and they were willing to give me contacts of other businesses. So that works amazing for me. And last one, your acquirer is always watching. You might not know, but they are watching, and if you grow to a certain stage, they are looking to acquire you. So that's also one part to acquisition, ideally to be visible. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'm used to the awkward ones, I promise. And first 5 DMs, drinks on me. So feel free to ask away.
Thank you. Thank you, Slavomir, for the honest story. So let me hear the honest questions.
I'm not sure if I understood what the cowboy outfit was for. You said you're going to explain it, so...
Oh yeah, true. If you can get your hands up, I'm going to explain it really shortly. Awesome. So Faris talked about this before. You know, when you are a startup, you need to be scrappy how to get attention. How many people do you think will remember me if they see me down the road? They might not remember what I did, but they will stop me because of the cowboy outfit. The story is I bought the hat in Texas. I liked it, so I thought I will test run it at conference. And it works amazingly for meeting people.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to remember also for what you did and what you made the company out of.